I don't know if Lug knows we can't hear her or not.
I
Jackie.
couldn't.
Aha!
Oh.
That's just fuck. Like, I just can't believe that.
That's why I like this one, because when you
Yeah.
mute it,
I literally was just like, we're live.
and then when you
Just
unmute, there's color.
it's okay, because I was like,
At
we're
the-
so seamless. We did so good. We're live, and then you're just like, I don't think Lugnuts knows. I'm just
Wait, are we
like,
live right now?
We're live,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're
Thank you,
live.
everyone. Yeah, cool. Like,
Wait,
but I don't think they can hear us though. I think we're
yeah,
we're
no,
good.
everyone can hear us. We're live. Thanks for joining,
Oh.
everyone. That's
oh my god.
Yep. Nope, we're good. Thanks, everyone.
Hello.
I'm sorry, whoops.
Had a little moment there.
Welcome.
Sorry. Welcome.
Just small
Just a little
technical
moment.
difficulties. It's fine.
Let me
I
open
forgot
this.
It
like,
was
we
so
can hear
close
you.
to having like the perfect amount.
Well, that's how you know we're live. This is not pre-recorded and edited
Are we sure? I'm not seeing it. Hold on.
for later.
It's there.
Okay, we're live.
Cody's gonna find it first.
No, we've got
Wait.
people in chat. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Oh.
Hey,
Oh, it's
hello
just- I
and
never got notified.
welcome. You ready?
Yep.
We're gonna
We
start.
had the F bomb. If it was
No
me, I'm
F-bomb.
sorry.
Did we F-bomb? We'll bleep that out later. Hello, coffee beans, and welcome to our coffee house, Esports and Coffee. We are happy that you stopped by. So oh my god, AJ does this so much better. We're so happy that you stopped by. So grab a mug of your favorite beverage, grab a comfy chair, and stay a while. I'm one of your head baristas, Sari, and assisting me with brewing our coffee tonight, I have this amazing cohort of people that I'm very excited about. So we're going to go around and talk about who we have joining us today. And once you say who you are, you got to call out the next person and say who they are. And so I say we will bookend it with Jackie. So let's start with Cody and then go from there.
Hello, I'm Cody. Recent graduate from Lawrence Tech and Lawrence Tech Esports. My brain messed it up there. Yeah, so recent graduate as of May. So fresh out. Yeah, so during my time at LTU I was all team captain and I played Call of Duty. And yeah. Next we'll give it to Jorge. I don't know what else to say.
I'm Jorge, current master student at Commerce University, previous undergrad at UNT Charlotte, both Call of Duty player and student leader over there. Enjoying life. Yeah, we'll go. Let's go with Jackie.
Ooh.
Oh, okay. So hi, I'm Jackie. I dropped that bomb. I'm really sorry about that. We went live and I just
I thought it was me.
I didn't I have a couple days left as the current STEM esports TOSA for Minneapolis Public School. I've really enjoyed this last year working with Scholastics, and I'm one of our head baristas. We're gonna end there with Britt.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany. I'm a current student and athlete for esports at Full Sail University. I have been on the League of Legends team, and I'm currently on the varsity Halo team for Full Sail. And I'm going to toss it back to Sari.
And you're one of our club officers, too.
That is true. I am an officer currently for Full Sail Armada, so I answer a lot of questions.
Me too.
Awesome. Well, we're excited today to talk through kind of a day in the life of what an esports athlete, collegiate esports athlete is. And the big thing that we kind of want to do here is what we've noticed within our community is that everybody is really kind of tangential to this space in some capacity. And understanding what students go through as they're through their collegiate experience helps us all kind of learn and do better and support them better throughout their journey, whether we are, partners, sponsors, organizations looking to connect with the collegiate space, whether we are leaders within that collegiate space, whether we are parents ourselves that are possibly raising gamers one day, or whether we just want to understand, the holistic approach to what it's like for that balance. I think it's a lesson that we can all learn. And unfortunately, what it feels like happens is the people that are usually telling you what it's like in collegiate esports have never played collegiate esports because it didn't exist when we were in college. And so I thought, while we listen to our students and can amplify what it is that they've gone through, to hear it directly from those that have been doing it and doing it super well and successfully, I think is the right way for us all to kind of be prepared and sort of help everybody else along the way. Because that's really what esports and coffee is all about, right? Is doing better and making sure others can do better. And continuing on for doing better, for anybody that is not in our Discord, this is just a reminder that if you are not there, you really should be, because you're missing quite a party. This month alone, we saw a continued recommitment to our personal growth, and giving a shout out to D Money, the nickname that she will never let stick, but I'm going to keep making it stick. D Money, for keeping us all accountable and kind of continuing to force us to check in on everything that we are committing ourselves to do. We had a deep dive into anime. There's a lot of killer clowns from outer space chatter that's been happening these days. It's end of the semester burnout and support and so much more. But it is all happening in our Discord, and it's always a party. So you really should come on down and hang out with us. We'd love to have
We
you.
have a playlist on Spotify and everything.
We do have a playlist on Spotify and everything. We're really moving up in the world.
Yeah.
So to kick things off today, as we mentioned, we are discussing kind of a day in the life, what it's like as a collegiate esports athlete, member of your collegiate esports team. And I thought, kind of starting this up, open up for general discussion. I would be very curious for each of you. At what point did you decide esports was going to be a part of your collegiate experience? So, did you start college, meet some folks, maybe figure it out from there? I think Jorge's going to have an interesting approach in that perspective. But was it something you were considering before even starting college? Is it something you kind of picked up while you went there? Did you look for a school because it was esports related? Just curious about everyone's approach to how the world of being in college and being an esports athlete kind of met together for you. Whoever wants to start.
I can start, since I honestly didn't know what esports was until I got to my sophomore year of college. We did not have an well, technically they announced esports, but we didn't have one until my second year, so I want to say 2021. So D Money, as we're calling her, was there. We happened to be working in the same office when our program was still under student affairs. And sorry, I left my train of thought for a second. Anyway, so Danielle had been working upstairs in the office, and we talked a few times. And she was like, "Hey, I'm the esports coach." I was like, "LOL, what's that? That sounds boring." I'm gonna be honest, because I grew up in traditional sports, so I grew up with like if being outside. And sorry, something was coming downstairs. But yeah, so she kind of told me about it. We started off with Smash, Rocket League, and League of Legends. Yeah. So those 3 games, never heard of. Well, I heard of League of Legends, never played, never even touched. So essentially, yeah, she kind of talked me into it. I was technically signed for Smash and Rocket League, despite not touching either of them. And then after about a couple months, I was like, "Hey, I've shot bots on COD, like actual like AI bots. We should start a COD team." And she was like, "You find 3 other people that want to play, and go ahead." And I found 3 other people, and so I kind of started the COD team. But yeah, that's just kind of what it was. Didn't know what it was. I actually went to Lawrence Tech wanting to play softball. Was trying to walk on, but just never got the chance. So I was like, I'll focus on my academics. And then D Money came into the picture, and now I'm here.
That's awesome. Very cool. All right, Brittany or Jorge, who wants to go next?
I can go next. So I went to Full Sail initially to get a degree in game art, but when I found myself struggling a little bit to figure out 3D modeling, I swapped into game business and esports as my bachelor's program, which is kind of where everything started. And then through that bachelor's program, first couple of courses, I actually got to meet Sari and a couple of other people that were a part of Armada during the XP League finals from last year. At that point, I met the one of the League of Legends players who ended up being my captain once I joined the team. And she introduced me further into Armada itself, and that was actually where I kind of decided, hey, this is definitely something that I want to do. So I leaned much more into it. I will say when I was a teenager, I really wanted to play League of Legends at a competitive level, but I kind of fell off that bandwagon right before I jumped into college. So
That's awesome.
and then I'll throw it
More
in Jorge.
Yeah.
Yep. So I was a little different. I already knew about esports. I'd been competitor, manager, just everything. I wear a lot of different hats from like 2013 to 2018, and then I took a step back. But then when I knew that I wanted to finish my degree and I knew that I was going to UNCC, I just casually Googled what is it, like UNC Charlotte Call of Duty team, and I found their club. And from there I just ended up joining and asking about trying out, made the team, and yeah, it was fun. I played for about a year and a half before I kind of stepped away and then went into student leadership. Um, but every once in a while, I'll hop on the sticks with the guys, and it's always a fun time. I always help them. When even when I was a student leader, I always help them warm up. I was in the Halo team for like a total of 2 months. I want to say before I decided it wasn't my thing. Um, it was funny because I got into it up until like the winter break of when Halo Infinite dropped, and then I came back from winter break, and suddenly everybody was so much better than me, and I was not doing that. But yeah, had a lot of different experiences when it came to that.
That's
That's okay.
awesome.
We can start an X Defiant team. We'll be
Oh, I'm
better than the
so
rest.
down. I've been on the grind of XDefiant. Every free chance I get, I'll launch the game.
There you
Yeah.
go. It's funny because so I run a youth esports organization here in Orlando, and Bodie, my son, who's 10, and plays what we play, and his friends are on the team, and he would not join until he could get better. And so he has spent the last couple months, even though it was like, yes, come and play. He even at 10, he's like, I'm not ready for it yet. And now he's like, I think I'm ready to join in the next round. He's been like, grinding and doing his thing, but he was not, he was like, oh, I'm not here yet. And just to kind of acknowledge that, I think is interesting. And it sounds like the commonality with you guys is that it was like no, I want to be here. I don't exactly know where. I don't know what I'm going to play, and I don't necessarily know where I'm going to kind of stick around, but I'm going to be here in some capacity. So I'll try a couple things and see what works or see what sticks.
Yeah, and
Um,
it brought some like fun memories, especially with like never playing Rocket League before. I'll play it casually, like 2 games, and I get off because I'm bored. But but like playing Rocket League, I did like a summer tournament once. Like we got thrown into it, and the only achievement I got out of it is that I somehow scored on Northwood. So throughout my last 3 years of college, I was like, I've scored on Northwood. I'm better than all of you guys. So that was like a nice little thing to like hold above them.
there
But
you go.
yeah.
I like it. All right. Well, as with all like extracurricular activities and hobbies, finding balance is key. And in esports, it's especially important because in esports, finding balance often feels maybe impossible. And so I'm curious, how did or do two of you are current students, one of you is a recent graduate. How did or how do you find that balance between kind of grinding and being a part of a competitive team while also practicing with your teammates, while also being involved in events or activities and also schoolwork?
Google Calendar is a lifesaver. I don't want to go first for all of these, but yeah, I got to a point that I had a Google Calendar and I would schedule out my day, including the meals I ate. And there was a time that my friends would be like, hey, we want to go to this hockey game. And I went, actually, not in my schedule, can't make it. Um, but yeah, no, it allowed me to be able to prioritize what was important, especially as I came into esports late, so we were trying to navigate going from student engagement into athletics. So going through that, keeping up my very rigorous projects of including, especially this last semester, my thesis, which I had to teach myself to code. I was photoshopping all the time, but I still had the expectation to be showing up for my teammates, being the team captain, There's a few times that I would go to other classes' critiques that I know that my teammates or fellow players were on, and I did critique a few of them to the point that one of them was like, "You don't have to be so mean," but it is what it is. Tough love. But yeah, Google Calendar will save you, as well as prioritizing like the people you want to be around.
I'll go next. I think for me, it was like a really hard lesson when I was at UNC Charlotte and doing my undergrad and like really trying to figure out what my priorities were just because I became so enveloped into what I was doing with esports that I didn't give time to other things, such as my social life. Sometimes even academics would take a hit because of that. And so I think my first semester was really like spent trying to figure that out. Just because it was, and it was like a circumstance where it was all online during the pandemic when I had started out. So that was the other tough part is I knew that I had all this time just being in front of my computer, and what was it that interested me? But I think ultimately one thing that saved me, as Cody also mentioned, a calendar, making sure that you're keeping track of a planner. In my case, I use my Apple Calendar on my phone, just because I always had that handy. So I always knew that I could pop up my calendar. I had all my classes. I had time budgeted in there for like meals. I had time budgeted in there for practice. I had time budgeted in for my social stuff. Making sure that I kept my weekends clear was also something that I like really worked towards is I really wanted to make sure that I had my weekends to either just sit there and do nothing because I did so much during the week, or to spend time with friends, spend time with loved ones, go back and visit my family was another big one for me just because I'm very much a big family person. Um, and so that was my undergrad. Now for my master's, it's been a little different just because I actually have a lot more time on my hands now, even though the studies are a little more involved. But I think now that like I learned that lesson in my undergrad, it's been good to almost have a planner now. That I write stuff down in, and that's been fun. And I don't know, I've gotten to explore a lot of different interests. I'm engaged now, so I've been working on that as well and nurturing my future marriage. And it's been a good time. I think that the main thing that like the main advice that I have for that is just like making sure that you budget everything out and almost quantify your time to then be able to do your priorities.
Yeah, quick jump in, especially now that I've met your fiance, such an amazing person, love her. But yeah, having that scheduled time already actually made it easier for social life because then I could be like, oh, well, I just did 8 hours straight of Photoshop. Maybe I should go see a friend. Or even it was like, especially because I had a lot of friends in athletics, especially women's lacrosse. My friend Alex, who was game design, she'd be like, hey, these are my games. And I was putting it in my schedule, and that was the point of like, I would leave my backpack in my room, leave my controller in my room. I would text my team on Discord, like, hey, I'm at the women's lacrosse game. Don't talk to me because I'm going to get really invested in this. Which also allowed me to make more connections, even with some of their parents. One of which keeps begging me to come back next year because I'm no longer affiliated with the school, so I can chirp. Very politely though. No, nothing mean. Nothing at all. But yeah.
That's awesome.
So I personally don't go as much of a digital route. I have a physical planner that I carry around with me. It's currently in my living room though, so I can't show it. But I find that see, so for me, I have a really hard time with ignoring my scheduled free time if I have it on something digital. Because if I have it on something digital and I have like an alarm set that's like, hey, take a break, I'll just hit snooze or dismiss, and it's a really bad problem that I have. But I learned during because when I was on the league team, I let myself get burnt out a lot. And it really took a toll on me emotionally because I wasn't giving myself time for socializing. I wasn't like giving myself proper time to eat and do schoolwork between games and matches. And it took a toll not only on me, but it also took a toll on my performance with the team because then I was getting frustrated very easily. I wasn't giving myself time to breathe. So a lot of times I was going into matches already frustrated, and then that frustration was leaking not only into my gameplay, but into my communication with my team. So it is really important, and I've worked on it very, very adamantly now especially being on a Halo team where everything is kind of up in the air until everything's scheduled. That I make sure I'm still giving myself time to not only like breathe, but also eat and sleep. Because I'll be honest, between schoolwork catch up and actually playing on the league team, I was maybe averaging 3 hours of sleep a day,
Same.
which was not great. So don't do what I did, kids. Do what I do now, not what I did then.
There you
Yeah.
go. Something I'll say that I noticed, Brittany, that you do that I think is so great is when you do have something planned, or like when you have those cleared moments, you communicate that ahead of time. So like I've seen you with like a Discord channel where people are kind of volunteering to work events or work through things, and Brittany will come in and say, I want to let you know that my sister is coming to visit she's coming into town from this day to this day, so I will be less communicative, but I'll be available for events starting this day because they're going to do X, Y, and Z. And it just sort of helps when you kind of bring other people into your blocks. It almost helps force you to take them. Like if somebody else knows that you're outlining for a break, then it helps you take them. I know if Jorge told any of us that he was taking his fiance somewhere, he had planned to take her out to dinner, I know that none of us would let him be late to that or miss it
No.
or anything of the sort. And like,
I'd
you
be
know,
I'd
you
be in the
lean,
car driving him to this.
yeah,
And
you
I'd be
like
sitting
lean on
two
your
tables over.
community. Yeah, you lean on your community in that
Yeah.
regards too. And it's, it's a lot of what we do, but it's like it's the accountability aspect of it's easy to ignore the time you have budgeted when you're the only one that knows about it. It's difficult to ignore the time you have budgeted when other people know about it. It's easy to shut the door to the messy room in your house and not really focus on it or pay attention to it. It's difficult when everybody's coming over and they want to see it. So it's kind of helps you. I don't know. I've noticed that you do that, Brittany. I think it helps keep you honest or keep you focused, maybe.
I was gonna say it's really funny you say that because during the time that my sister was down for that week, I had gotten on Twitter a couple of times and I've gotten on Discord to message people and like respond with emails and stuff. And all of my friends who I responded to went, "Aren't you on vacation? Go take your vacation. Aren't you at Universal right now? Go enjoy Universal." Like,
Yeah,
Yes, go do it.
Same thing actually happened to
So-
me when I was down at Full Sail in August. I had responded to a message, and my teammate at the time was like, "Aren't you in Florida? Like, why are you here? Like, stop talking." So yeah. However, I did have to keep the student part of the student athlete because it was like the first week of classes, but still having that balance of like, yeah, I can go eat with Sarah. Yeah, I'll go to this baseball thing. So yeah, definitely. Even if you have like stuff you can't miss, and this is speaking from a design student where my work is self-centered, so I make my own schedule. Still having that time of like, well, I'm going down for this vacation. I'm going to take this time in the hotel to get this done.
Yeah, I love that. Well, okay, so there's this old statement, whatever, saying that people still say, and it's like, oh, if you do what you love, you will never work a day in your life. And like that reads really good on the sign at Hobby Lobby, but does it really work out so well in real life? Because truth be told, there's a danger when your work is also doing the thing that you love. How do you keep that thing that you love as that thing when it's also your work? And I feel like in esports, this is so much truer than you might see in any other industry, because it's like how you guys got here, how most people got here is because at a young age, games were your outlet, they were your social aspect, they were your decompression time, they were your activity, they were your hobby. And those are the things that kind of like shape who you are. When they also become your job, or when they also become a part of your school commitment, or they also become, regimented part of a team that you're a part of, where do you go to decompress, or where do you go to find those recoup times, or how do you still get into that? And I've seen people talk things like, oh, I keep 2 Discord accounts. I could never do that. With all due respect, I could not do that. And it's like, I understand the aspect of the world's blending, but like, curious for you all, did you hit a point where you're like, gaming is not my outlet right now because it's also my source of frustration and I need a break from this? And how did you get back to it, or how do you keep that valuable space that gaming provides?
So I'll actually jump the gun and answer this one first because I've had to do it twice now. Um, so when I was on the league team, I had been playing League for fun for years, and I never really cared about my performance that much. Like obviously I didn't want to do super awful, but like my performance didn't affect me in a negative way. I found myself when I was on the team and I was underperforming when I wanted to be performing well that I was getting angry at the game and I didn't want to be there. So, the way that I combated that and the way that I combat it with Halo now is that I will play a completely different genre of game. For me, that was World of Warcraft. I would get off of a competitive game, I would get onto World of Warcraft, I would just run story quests. That's it. No PvP. I would run dungeons here and there, but I almost always focus solely on the like for fun quests or my dailies or something like that. Something to reset my brain so that I wasn't focused so heavily on the competitive aspect of something. Um, Even now, like I'll get on Pokemon or I'll get on Stardew Valley or Palia or World of Warcraft again just to reset because there's always that part of me that's like if I'm playing a game that has a competitive mode, so Fortnite, um, Halo, League, Valorant, anything like that, my brain will always yell at me, if you're not doing well, you're doing awful. Like it's always. So if I lose games, I get really, really upset with myself. And so I find myself having to maybe play 1 or 2 rounds of a competitive game and then go, okay, I need a non-competitive environment. So let me go hop on WoW and play dailies or run dungeons with my partner and my brother-in-law. Like something to give myself an environment where I can't hear that voice in the back of my head going, "Hey, you should do better cuz you can."
But
That's
yeah,
my
I'm kind of in like a similar boat. Uh, again, I there was a point that I'd play COD so much that I just wouldn't open my computer. Because again, I love what I do in graphic design, but in both, I've been burnt out so quick that there was a part that I literally went to my advisor and I was like, "Hey, I'm burnt out. What can I do for my thesis to turn this around?" Which meant I made a video game. Did it burn me out a little bit more? Yes, but I was also able to be like, "Hey, I'll take that competitive nature I have and I'll put it into my classwork because it was me versus, I mean, really we're against each other. There's only 2 people in my thesis class. So there was always that like, well, who's going to be the one to get the Dean's Award? Who's going to be one to get this? And again, growing up in traditional sports, I've always had that competitive edge. So whenever I needed to clear my mind or deal with the burnout, I would quite literally go touch grass. I got a hockey stick for Christmas, well, as like a late Christmas gift from our racquet league coach, and so I'd go do stick and puck outside with my friends. Like I mentioned, I was friends with the girls on the lacrosse team. For some reason, they wanted me to learn lacrosse. That was their first mistake. One of them was a goalie. I broke her helmet because I swung it too hard because I'm a softball player trying to play lacrosse. And you're not supposed to throw things that hard in lacrosse. But I had those like outlets of like, okay, I'll go hang out with Alex and we'll go watch Spy Kids for the 5th time this week. Or it was so bad. And it was for not even for a fun reason. I don't even like the Spy Kids movie. It was just like there's some people will laugh. Um, we would I made forced her to watch a weird online series. I'm not gonna mention here because I don't need anybody else knowing how weird I am. She literally just Snapchatted me. That's really weird. Um, but like I would go and hang out with friends, or I would watch my friends compete in these games and try to be like, they're great. I'll put my energy into supporting them. But yeah, literally touching grass saved my mental quite a few times.
I think I'll echo that as well. Like finding hobbies outside of gaming has been very good for me. Um, I personally like I live in a big city, so I like adventuring. I like going to explore new things. I've been living here now for almost 4 years, and I still haven't even explored the whole city. So, um, going out taking day trips has been good for me as well. I'll go out to the mountains or whatever it may be. Something else for me that has worked though is going back to revisit the games that I grew up with and doing like retro game shopping and like playing those retro games has been really good for me just because I get to fall back in love with gaming and like go back to the roots of where I started with it. But at the same time, like Britt said, I'm not in a competitive environment where I need to be zoned in on what's going on. Oh my god, it's a cute cat.
I
Anyway,
love how I don't have
Humongous
anything to
cat.
bring
That
into
Yeah.
cat's the
this.
size of a bear.
He
I
wanted
got a
to come
Pikachu.
and yell at me that he is also. He wanted to remind me that he was also something that that helps me reset between games.
Hold on,
So
I can
he
contribute.
felt like I wasn't giving
Oh,
him
he's
the
so
correct references. So
he's blown out.
It's all right.
but yeah, it's really just finding things that you love that may even be related to gaming, but not exactly esports, and keeping that like divide mentally that I think has really helped me. Just because then I'm able to, let's say, an hour or 2 hours a day that I may have down, I'll hop on my Wii and play some Mario Kart, or I'll play some Pokemon on my DS. Just things like that just really helps, like keep that love for it, but almost separate the two.
Yeah, that's smart. And I know AJ has been going back into her Animal Crossing Island lately. She's like, that's my decompression place. And it was like, none of us have picked a weed in 3 years. But you know what? We're back and we're figuring it out. I'm going to also say, like what Jorge was saying earlier about exploring your own city, I love. I do not, this is not a paid thing. I'm just dropping this link in the chat. There's this app called Resort Pass. So they have a website too. It's super cool. And a lot of times it's like, $25, $35 for the day. And you can go to like resorts in your area and just like use all the facilities and the pool. And sometimes it's the spa and sometimes it's relaxing. And it's a nice way to do like a day vacation when you maybe are not financially ready for a real vacation, but you need to just like feel like you're on vacation for a minute. They have them all over the country, and there's a whole bunch of different deals. So highly recommend when you're exploring your own city. I love that. I love finding different games so you can kind of like maintain that love and reconnect.
Yeah, I went through a Tomodachi Life phase on my 3DS, which only made it funnier because I was living in a dorm that faced a freshman housing. So if you played Tomodachi Life on the 3DS, you literally look into an apartment building and like lights are on and off, people are home. So I quite literally was living real life Tomodachi Life. Because the
That's
freshmen don't close their blinds, so you could see like when they had people come over, when they left. I was like, I don't know what it says about me, but I was living real life Tomodachi Life for like 2 months when I was too tired to touch COD.
I think
Hey,
something else as well for me is like going to like lounge spacing that people may also be playing games in within the school is fun because we have a space at UNCC where some of the fighting games people just go in and enjoy, and like although it's competition at the same time you just go there have fun with people, like talk it out, whatever it is, whether you're playing like Smash or Street Fighter or whatever it was that we were playing that day, we would just sit there, catch up, and have a good time. So I know like some of my fondest memories, even with just esports related memories, but not necessarily competition, was going and hanging out with those guys and just talking about classes and talking about life, or people that may be in the same major as me. We just caught up on some of the professors of the classes and how much fun or not fun we were having. But yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. Is you like at least are finding like-minded people and keeping the itch scratched and kind of keeping the spark going even when you're needing a break from it.
I will say our club meetups have probably been a major factor in some of my resets as well. Getting to see a bunch of different people and just play little fun games like Tekken or the randomizer that we do, and then have pizza and just sit around and talk.
Creating TikToks. Those are fun to watch too.
Oh yeah. I love your TikTok. They are really fun.
I try
Okay.
my
Well,
best.
now that you're giving a lot of good insight into spaces where you can recharge and how we can kind of foster that recharge environment. But now let's try to kind of flip the script a little bit. There's a lot of folks in our community that are kind of in various facets are gaming and esports leaders. So whether they're in the competitive collegiate space, they're serving as educators, they're working for industry events, or even partners or other organizations that are affiliated with gaming and esports, or some of them are even connected through publishers. What do we want them to know about the student experience in esports? How can the industry that surrounds you be more supportive to the student community within gaming and esports? And knowing that you look at this from a bunch of different directions, but knowing everything that you've experienced and everything that you've been through and everything that you go through, what do you wish more people understood that are kind of around you but not in it?
I didn't think it would catch the Pikachu just fading into the background. Sorry. Go ahead, Jorge.
I'll start off with this one. So I think the blanket answer that I'm gonna give for everyone is just kind of like focus on student experience. I think that's been like the biggest thing takeaway from me going from like student leader myself and student player to now like almost like more of an administrator role is making sure that you focus on the student experience in order to bring resources, bring an event, bring something to the table that creates a memory that a student can be fond of. Um, just because like some of my fondest memories in college esports as a student were really not competing. It was some of the things that were adjacent to it that made like competing also fun. Whether it was meeting up with my teammates, whether it was the lands that we went to and what those lands involved. Some of the lands that we hosted at UNCC and getting to compete in some of those, like those were some of my favorite memories because of the or the experience that were attached to it and how that was built up or handled in order to make it a memory that someone can look back on and say, wow, that was a really good time that I had because, you know, maybe they had this song playing or there were these cool light effects or I got to be shown off on a main stage and this happened and this brand was involved with it. And, you know, one of the things that I think I'll always like be jealous of some of the players that went to CECC and got those McDonald's jerseys. Like, I think that's one of the coolest things because now that I know, like, my Converse players came back, they didn't talk to me about the whole event. The only thing that they brought up were, wow, those McDonald's jerseys. And I'm like, you know, like, I think that's a great example of a company coming in and making a memorable experience for a student that they're gonna come back to, like, you know, years from now and say, look, I got this McDonald's jersey at this event that I did this in. So I think that's kind of my blanket answer is making a memorable experience for a student.
Yeah, and to go off that, I'd say let the kids be kids, but also like help guide them on the right path. Again, some of my favorite memories would be like going to Vegas, getting to dance like a fool after the event. Even this past weekend when I went down to Cedar Point for a LAN, we went mini golfing with our new director Ben, and it was like my coach Alex, Amari, Tyler, and I. And the funniest part was those four have golfed before. I don't. So seeing them get serious about it when I was literally just like messing around, I was literally hitting their balls on purpose. There was one point that Tyler hit the ball so hard it bounced off a brick and bounced over a child, and it was the way that we were laughing so hard at it that I think I started crying, and then also so many like see these are like these memories like I'm getting giddy about, like just letting the kids be kids, letting us have fun. Yeah, I mean, you nurture the competitiveness. Don't let them do dumb things like, oh, I'm gonna blow off practice because we're gonna go to mini golf instead. Still having that structure, but when there's chances to be like, hey, let's go order pizza and watch the 4 John Wick movies in a row. Go ahead, whatever floats your boat. Or, uh, us all being adults going on an adventure around the hotel, just walking around to see what there is. Trying to find our director's room, just wandering the halls, going bed. So like stuff like that, like the
Yeah.
stupid things that like we can laugh about. We had a actually in Indiana Tech, our Overwatch team, and I have to give this to Zach. I was stepping in as like a coach, so I was standing behind them for their whack land, and the whole time he's like, not cut water, cut wood, carry water. I couldn't tell the next part, but it was so silly that it was getting them hyped up, and they were able to have fun, joke around. Another thing was another land that I'm not going to mention because Danielle's in the chat and I'll get yelled at, but we had a pillow fight at one of the lands, and just didn't tell. So yeah, being children, but like responsible children, I think is the best way to help push us.
Well, and from that, connecting that to what Jorge just said too, is that as organizations are looking to engage or get involved from the esports audience perspective, and they can provide mini golf, free mini golf, or gift cards to local arcades, or it's not always, it doesn't always have to be another gaming mouse. It can be, experiences that everybody does together. And even just like providing food or bringing food and letting everybody pause and stop and eat together, I think helps that regards too.
I was gonna say something to piggyback off of that as well is a lot of people see the competitive side of esports. So like the industry leaders, they're seeing a bunch of, late teens to early adults competing and playing games and, having this really high competitive spirit and this really high emotional connection to the games that they're playing. It's also really important to provide mental health outlets or ways for them to decompress. So, like, to piggyback off of that, having days and having areas where players can have decompression. I think it was DreamHack last year, had an area where people could go to decompress, where it was just like a quiet room. And, you could just, if you were overstimulated, if everything was just too much, you could go in there, take some time for yourself. Everybody had, like, you were reading or you were sitting on your own, doing something for yourself, but everyone was quiet and everyone was respectful so that there was that space where you could just and relax and rest to go back out into all the excitement, where it's separated from the excitement, but you're still able to reconvene and go back into it afterward.
Lindsay Postel made that, and it's there again.
I was gonna say,
So
shut up.
excited for that.
Postel.
I was there. I actually, when I went to Atlanta, I used that room, and I just went in and I drew for like a half an hour just to sit by myself, and there was someone in there taking a nap, and it really helped, just like a quiet zone, just to be by myself, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I think having those options are great. I'm not much like I can't decompress in a quiet room. I'm more of like going into like for example, when we were in Vegas for the Scholar Awards, when we went down to, and I'm forgetting the bar name, but it had a really, really cool like seating area. It was like our meet and greet. It had like the fire pit in the middle.
Oh, the pepper mill.
Yeah, that like so like that, or even like having like the funny jokes when Sari ordered a fruit bowl and she got a fruit bowl. Like, like it's like, yeah, like these silly stupid things. Having like the desensitization, but also having like the silly goofy things that you would never expect, like a fruit bowl that's the size of someone's head.
Yeah, it came with ice cream.
Yeah,
I'll order
and
anything
ice
that
cream.
comes with ice.
So more of the story, have ice cream, we're set. Ice cream and a choice of a quiet space, 10 out of 10 event.
Ice cream
Oh my
does
God,
make me happy. all
Just
the
send
time.
all the esports teams to a Froyo shop. It'll be great.
Send us to Cold Stone.
Done. We've just solved all of esports problems right here
Cold
today
Stone.
on this episode. You heard it here.
Yeah.
All right. Aside from our love for ice cream, we're gonna go into story time.
Wow.
So, if there's one thing that you really learned about yourself, or a struggle that you worked through as a student participating in esports, what would you share if you could share one thing? Either that you learned about yourself or that was relevant to your experience.
Definitely. Oh, you go first. I've gone first enough. You go. I can wait. I gotta think of a better one. I was just gonna say self-respect, but you go. I got another one. Next.
I was gonna say, I definitely learned how to catch myself when I'm getting a little too tilted, for sure. Um, I have, I, there have been a couple of times where I have not taken time to breathe and things like piled up in one series of games. And at the end of the night, we lost the final match. I left. I sat in my car, I blasted Motionless in White, and I just screamed until I felt better. And that night really put into perspective for me that I needed to catch myself before I get to that point. So I have not had a day like that since. Because when I feel myself getting to that point, if somebody is trying to keep me from like leaving the space or anything like that, I will look at them, I will go, I need to take a break. I will talk to you when I come back. And setting up those boundaries is really important.
That I'm the exact same way as that. If I need to go and someone tries to stop me and it's like, no, no, everything's fine, just stay. I can't. I'm done. I just need I need a break. I need to walk away.
Yeah,
So I
because it's like
feel
it's
that
fine
hard.
for you, but it's not fine for me. And if I can't go take a break, it not being fine for me is going to very quickly not be fine for everyone else. So,
That's a good lesson learned.
I would say mine is definitely don't take myself so serious. For sure, competition, I would do the same thing. I cried a few times after we lost. I would be really hard on myself. I also refused to be in front of a camera. I was not the funny jokester that you all know today. Was actually quite serious. Was still trying to figure things out, but started taking myself a little less serious. I can lock in when needed, but having the stupid stuff like as playing COD, I would play music. There was a time that my teammate Jake and I were listening to 2000s white girl music, is what we called it. Um, which is like, it's just club music, and those were the best games we had because we're laughing with each other, versus like if I'm playing Spirit Box or like Motionless in White, like having like those more hardcore, I don't do as well. Um, like I said this past weekend, we played SpongeBob during 2 games that we were absolutely getting beat to a pulp to. I got 1 kill in the entire 3 games because it just wasn't my game. But I was still laughing and I'm having fun because we're listening to the Jellyfish song on repeat for 3 hours. Um, yeah, so I mean, allowing myself to have fun, being able to lock in and be funny has been really helpful. Especially as I'm going into more of a leadership role, which I'll be able to announce later on, where I'm now leading another group of people who take their game way too seriously, and I know so because they played the same time as us. And there was many times that we had to pause our game to be like, "Hey, can you guys please shush? Like, calm down. Your game ended an hour ago. Either you can't stay here, but you don't have to go home. Just get out." Kind of situation. So
That's awesome. Jorge, what about you?
My biggest lesson that I had to learn twice was to live more in the moment. And I learned that both as a competitor, but also as a leader. So I remember my first semester playing. It was the last season for TESPA running Call of Duty. And I remember like I was so focused on getting better and like self-reflection and how I could improve that I really didn't have fun while I was playing because I was so focused on what I was doing wrong instead of what I was doing right at the moment. And it's not like we were a bad team, like we were doing pretty well. I think we lost our first weekend of matches and then after that we went undefeated every other weekend. Um but it was more so like I always felt like the weakest link instead of actually being able to enjoy what I was doing, and just kind of living in that moment. And that's something that like I'll look back on that specific season and like that's the biggest lesson that I learned because going into the next semester, I think I definitely learned from that, and I definitely had a lot more fun competing. Once we hopped into instead of test, but at that point it ended, so we ended up doing CCL instead. And definitely had a lot more fun that time just because I was able to still improve and still, know that I had to what I had to improve on. But that wasn't my sole focus when I was in game, in a match, or in a scrim. And it made it like way less miserable than when I had my first semester competing collegiate. And as a student leader, they went back to the same thing of locking in on what can I do better to improve the situation that my school is in with esports. What can I do better to like make it a better experience for everybody else? But through that, it almost like it made me almost very miserable because I was not putting time towards what I was enjoying in that experience. Um, and so I guess through that, living in the moment, but also being a little selfish when you can. Like, it's your experience as much as it is everybody else's. And I think when you're a leader in collegiate, sometimes you end up forgetting that a little bit. Just because you're so focused on those around you that you may not even realize the effect that it may be having on you as a person.
It's a really good and mature approach. Sorry that you had to learn it twice, but I also think it's that like in anything competitive, I think you focus so much on what's next that you have to force yourself to stop and enjoy what just happened. And I think it's finding that balance between the two in general that kind of helps us all, or gets us all off on the right foot. Um, but any good lesson is worth learning twice.
Mm-hmm.
I just made that up. So one day someone's gonna put that on a sign at Hobby Lobby, and then you guys are gonna know that is because they were probably listening to this esports and coffee show, right?
I'll do you better. I'll put it on a T-shirt.
Okay,
That's what I was about to
perfect.
So I
say.
can
I'm
do
putting
that
on
now.
t-shirt.
I'll make it a
Mhm.
sticker. It'll be great.
I'm free
Oh,
to
I
do
love
that
it.
now.
Metallic.
Spray it on everything.
Okay. Before we start wrapping this up, let's take a second and talk about those that are coming behind you. Maybe they're high school or middle school students who are considering participating in esports in college in some capacity. Maybe they're 10-year-olds who are currently grinding right now on Fortnite with their bros, trying to just see what they can do to make it last. This is hypothetical, of course.
Yeah.
But if you could give any piece of advice to the folks that are coming in behind you that want to do what you've been doing, what would that advice be?
Don't do it. Get out now. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, kind of to echo what Jorge said. Like, enjoy the moment. Especially because mine was so short and sweet that by the time I got to what would be like a 4th year, which would be this year, I'm like, man, I don't want to leave. I kind of want to stay and do this. Ask me that in another year, we'll see what the answer is. But, yeah, if you really have a passion for it, stick with it, but don't make it your entire life. Don't put all your eggs into a basket. Something I learned from my softball coach. But have other things to fall back on so that your life isn't engulfed by Fortnite or 2K or Call of Duty. If your life gets engulfed by Call of Duty, take a breather, because I know how mentally and emotionally draining that can be, and even for any game. But if you really have a passion for it, like, stick with it. Trust in your skill set and yourself, and as long as you trust in yourself, there's literally nothing you can't do. I got that one from a Studio Ghibli movie.
I would say at the end of the day, don't forget that the game can go one way or another. Your team is going to be there with you through either way. So you might lose one match, you might lose one series, but your teammates are also losing that series. So it's important to like understand that you're not alone, whether you win or lose, and to kind of hold that as what keeps you going. Because at that point, in that moment, you're not just there for you, you're there for the people around you, and they're there for you the way that you are for them.
That's awesome.
My
Yeah.
advice would be to explore. Just explore what your interests are. Explore what it is that you're passionate about. Explore things that you may not know you're passionate about, but you could be, and it's something that may come up on your table. I think that's something that, like, I wouldn't necessarily call it a regret, but it is something that I wish I would have done during my time in my undergrad, was like making sure that I explored different things beyond just playing, beyond just being that student leader. Like, exploring college has a lot more to offer than just esports and than just your academics, whether it be networking, whether it be other clubs, whether it be activities. Like, make your time worthwhile and round out your experience. Definitely still focus on what you love. You love esports, you love competing. Like, do that if that's what you want, but also make sure that you explore other things and really round out your experience so you're able to have more memories beyond just what it is that you competed in.
Be the person that you wish was there for you through your journey. I mean, you can only start a chain reaction, so.
Yeah, I would say to piggyback off of that. Also, if you do want to go into esports, keep in mind that it's not just about playing.
Mhm.
I'm also a student athlete caster.
Mhm.
So there's a ton
I-
of stuff to go into everything. You can cast, you can do observation. You can see about doing production for your school, stuff like that. It's not just about playing the game. It's about everything else that goes into playing the game and
Yeah.
having it, broadcast.
And off of that, you can do more than like you could even do like design stuff. So like I did graphic design stuff for our esports team here. I did our jerseys this year that came out. Still really proud of them. Hoping to do next year's jersey if it allows me. But being able to take passion in my major and share that with esports. Like in esports, you're not stuck being behind the camera, in front of the camera, playing, not playing, coaching. Like you literally can do anything because it's such a young scene that it's expanding everywhere. So there's always a use for it.
Oh man, you guys are so great. Future feels good knowing that we've got people like you all leading the way, and I'm just excited. So I'm gonna ask as we are closing out this night, where can we find you? Plug yourselves. What are you gonna plug? Plug anything you want to plug.
You
Maybe
can
Killer
find
clowns from
me
outer space or whatever.
you can find me on Twitter at Void Scarlet. I'm gonna spell it out because it is difficult and I've been called other things. So Void VOID Scarlet SCVRLXT. Did it? I did it first try. Let's go. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I'm a little ghost on there, but you'll see me tweet about my friends.
Awesome.
All my socials are at Hispanic Phenom with a PH. Pretty simple, pretty sweet.
At the Void Scarlet.
And the majority of my socials are just So Depressing TV. So I'm here on Twitch, I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok. I'm playing a lot of Killer Clowns from Outer Space over the next couple of weeks. So if 80s horror movie clowns are your thing, you know where to find me.
Dude, I want
In
to come
Crescent
play.
Cove.
I'm gonna come play with you.
I know. I was gonna
Please
say. I
do.
feel like you
I
and Jackie
need
are
so
kindred
many
spirits.
friends.
Mhm.
My friends have been getting on me.
We need an esports and coffee game night or something.
Oh, 100%.
Jorge and I have been trying to play for like weeks now, and it's always been like, I'll be home at this time. Will you be awake? And then I'm asleep. Fixing my sleep schedule is not fun.
Oh, I get it.
All right, well, I feel like that's next. See, everybody here should join our Discord so we can play
Yeah.
on our big esports and coffee
Game
game
night.
Yeah.
See, did I bring that back? It's call to action,
job.
right? Well, friends, our next show will be Wednesday, June 12th, where we will have a very detailed, maybe somewhat heated look inside the differences, similarities, and nuances between the collegiate esports space and the professional esports space. And it's going to be a good one. So I highly recommend you all join. And how are you going to remember about it? You're going to be in our Discord. You're going to be chiming in on the conversation. You're going to be doing it up. But in that note, at 7:31, so almost right on the dot, but 1 minute over, I'm running out of coffee. How about you guys?
I am all out.
I am all out
All
of coffee.
All right, friends. Well, then we'll catch you in the Discord and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.